Hello, everyone, and welcome to another match of the top 8 for Pro Tour Hellscube 8. Here we have zvosher on purple, red, black Cascade, PBR Cascade, and we've got Mana on Azorius Hogak Storm combo. So zvosher is the number 1 seed here, and Mana is the number 8 seed, so zvosher has chosen to go first in game 1. zvosher trying to win on turn 1, so we'll see if he can get there. And we'll see if Mana can stop it. zvosher going to 6. This is probably more of what he was looking for. Mana also going to 6. Has the Hogak. I think we will hopefully get to see both players firing on all cylinders, but zvosher might take this to begin with. I'm not exactly sure what the combo setup is, but we shall see. zvosher, just moving their hand around. We got 2 copies of Sell Their Ass to the Dwarves. Yeah, this will be something alright. I look forward to seeing us get underway here. Recondo. Little bit scary. That is part of the Hogak combo here. Mana putting Prince Imrahil back. Not that Prince Imrahil, a land called the Prince Imrahil. So looks like zvosher needs to put 2 cards back. Putting back a Sell Their Ass to the Dwarves and a Haunted Moon. Alright, starting out strong. Playing out the Swirly Twirly Bloodstraw. Playing the Mox Phyrexian, which itself is basically a Lotus Petal for black specifically. Playing the Prize Lotus Tea. Tapping the Swirly Twirly Bloodstraw. Paying 5 to add a black and a purple. So we've got the black mana here, and the orange, I'm assuming, is the purple. Tapping, sacrificing, presumably itself, for another black. That's 3 mana. Tapping the Lotus Tea to add 3 mana of any color. And then casting the Tire of Fortune with 3 red mana. Mana casting an Ornithopt, as their hand is about to get pitched. So let's see what both players draw. Maybe Mana can draw some interaction here. Slow down the train. Another Ornithopt. And an Urabrask hit. Meanwhile, for zvosher, oh, the Storm Count. Casting an Ornithopt of their own. Casting the Ornithopter. Exiling an Elvian, or sideboarding an Elvian Spirit Guide. Paying 1 and a red to play Grapes. So that'll put 7 Grape tokens into play. Food tokens that also tap and sack to add purple. And we saw this in the Swiss rounds, but when this deck goes off, it goes off hard. So now can use the Nipple Charm to draw some cards from the sideboard. Can cast the Burning Man Emissary. Not currently able to rip the wheel. Doesn't have the colors for that. Sacrificing 4 grapes for a Twisty Nipple Charm. Sacrificing 2 grapes, okay. Getting Fibblethip. Entering the battlefield, drawing 2 cards, another wheel, and another copy of grapes. That's spooky, to say the least. Casting the next Twisty Nipple Charm. It's basically free with the grapes. Getting another Fibblethip. Sacrificing 1 of the Legend Rule. Drawing 2 cards. A Hastikin and a Burning Man Emissary. Storm count is at 9. Presumably only going higher. These early Storm decks like this, not fully deterministic, but very likely to do well. So, oh, it looks like passing. I guess there's not much that zvosher could do there. Couldn't cast the grapes. So now mana, getting a turn of their own. Rebounding the Ornithopt. I believe having casted another Ornithopt. Putting the Urza Saga back on the bottom. Plenty of Ornithopters here. Mana Zone, Storm Counter going now. Plays a Plains. No real source of mana. Plays out 2 of the Ornithopters. Storm count 2 and passing. Zvosher draws a card. It's a strict improvement that will give him the colors that he needs. Maybe not? Oh, first, the Rebound Ornithopter, and now drawing the strict improvement. Plays out the Ornithopter token, tapping the Swirly Twirly Bloodstraw for another 2 mana, taking 5 in the process. Using the purple mana for the Hastikin. I assume you cast the strict improvement on the Fibblethip, since it is no longer summoning sick. But what maybe that's not what zvosher wants to do. They don't know it, but Mana's got 2 Urbrass kits in hand, so destroying the target of the strict improvement will Mana double ping this. That'll probably shut zvosher down if it happens. I don't see a way to make red mana. I'm not. Let me look at what the Burnt Offering does. Oh, it does add red, so it'll make it harder, but it might not make it impossible. And I'm playing the first Urbrass kit and the second. Strict improvement will go to the graveyard, as will that Ornithopter. That does up the storm count. Let's see if zvosher is willing to go for it all here. Having, well, I guess 2 Tire Fortunes is about the same in hand as having 1, but certainly being able to use the Burning Man Emissary, but nope, gonna hold off for a turn. And revealing the actual Tundra to put a snow counter on the plains so that the actual Tundra comes in untapped. Now passing it back, Mana presumably looking to Saga Cycle Hogak at some point, but gonna have to survive this next turn. Zvosher drawing Nunya Business. Nice little tech card here, but I don't think that's going to do too much. Though I suppose it is a land that produces purple, even if it does enter tap this turn. Zvosher paying 2 to add a purple. Oh. I think. Oh no, paying 5. Using the black. Wait. Taking it back. Rolling it back. Playing None Your Business. It enters tapped. Tapping the Bloodstraw and the Hellscube. Untapping the Bloodstraw. Tapping it again. Making up our mind. Paying, it looks like 1 for a black mana. And sacrificing 1 of the grapes, so paying 3 presumably for the Burning Man Emissary. Yep. So, gonna be getting a Burnt Offering. Mana at this point, having it before the turn gets passed back to them. Saga cycling the Hogak. Going to get presumably Edge for Eternity. There it is. Gonna have to get. Oh, I know. This is. Yeah, drawing the land and then history, I guess, also a land. The Ornithopters are historic, so it will remain untapped. And then able to not quite start the full combo, but Edge for Eternity has read ahead, so gonna go ahead to chapter a billion, I'd assume. That will allow mana to cast Hogak from the graveyard by removing 7 lore counters from this saga with an infinite number of lore counters. It's an infinity saga. Has a lot. And here's Hogak. That's an 8/8 with trample. And the Hellscube being stunned by the Edge for Eternity. Zvosher drawing the Ornithopt. Suppose you're trying to decide what to do here. Casting the Ornithopt. Storm count is at 1 for those of you counting along at home. There's the Bloodstraw. Tapping for 5, or tapping, dealing 5 for a black and a purple. There's the Burnt Offering. Presumably on the Burning Man Emissary to get 4 mana. Any combination of black and red. Only opting for 1 red mana. Of course, using 2 of those black mana to cast the Burning Man Emissary. Going to use the Burnt Offering, I'd assume. Yep. Adding 3 black and another red. Ornithopting. Zvosher has to win here, otherwise Hogak just tramples in for 8. Which is currently lethal, at least. Casting the grapes. Now back up to 8 grape tokens. Presumably going to cast the wheel. Tapping Nunya. Excuse me. For a white. And there's the Tire of Fortune. Hand goes to the auto zone. Whole new hand. There's a Thraben Unspectre, a Prized Lotus Tea, 2 Strict Improvements, and 3 Head of the Forbidden Ones. I think Zvosher is probably off to the races with a hand like that. Though, still needs to... No, yeah, I think this gets him pretty much everything he needs. But, let's see it play out. Let's see... Mana not drawing anything helpful here, it doesn't seem. Casting the Strict Improvement on the Ornithopter, sacking that for 3 mana. Casting another Strict Improvement on the other Ornithopter. Casting Head of the Forbidden One. Discarding another Head of the Forbidden One. Going to get any card with mana value 1. I would assume that this is going to be sell their ass to the Dwarves and split the profits. There it is. So the key here is that Zvosher... Oh, casting the Thraben Unspectre first. Making that Eluk token. Tapping a grape. Casting sell their ass to the Dwarves and split the profits. So the key here is that Zvosher's targeting their own creature, which makes a wish and 2 treasures. And since he is that creature's controller, he gets those. And mana gets nothing. Playing the other head. Can't discard. Just playing it to get it out there, I guess. Wanting blockers, I'd assume. Casting the Wish. Cracking the Black Lotus. 4 black mana. And the Wish to cast Deathstruction, Stormscade. So this has Storm and then Cascade, but it works if you copy the spell. So that's going to be 13 Cascade triggers. So remember, the Storm count is in white, and the remaining Cascades will be in green here. So anything mana value 4 or less. Prize Lotus Tea. Another Seller adds to the Dwarves. And that's why we saw zvosher play out that head of the Forbidden One. I see. So gonna make 2 more treasures and another Wish. Twisty Nipple Charm. Can either flip target permanent, draw a card from the sideboard, a specific one, or conjure a nebula. There's the Comet Storm, that's the win condition. There's the Mox Phyrexian. This Comet Storm also has Storm, and so getting all these triggers, which makes it more and more likely that Comet Storm kills. Though it almost certainly will at this point. There's the grapes getting another 22 grape tokens. Ornithopt. The scry does affect the next cascade. Spirit Guide. And another Prize Lotus Tea. So the storm count now at 26, going to be 27 with the Ornithopter and 28 with the Comet Storm. Only needs to roll 4 4s or 5s, and the 6s double the rolls, so this is almost guaranteed here. Casting the Comet Storm. Let's roll the bones. What do we got? Well, that's certainly enough 4s and 5s. So mana will explode, and that'll be the end of game 1. We'll now go to game 2. No sideboarding yet, because this is a best 3 out of 5. Mana will get to choose now, first or second, and will presumably choose first. But first, choosing and then mulliganing. Yeah, that definitely was not a hand that Mana wanted to keep there. This one, probably still not ideal. Zvosher also not keeping their hand. This hand, a little closer to what they're looking for. But might not be it yet either. Zvosher going down to 5. Got the Bloodstraw. This is much closer to what they're looking for, I think. And this is also much closer to what Mana's looking for. So I expect these two players determining what they're putting on the bottom. And then we will be off with game 2. Oh, sorry. Mana now down to 5. Waiting on zvosher here. And you know, mulliganing is one of the most important skills in Magic, and people don't think about it or practice it often enough to get on my soapbox a little bit. So it can be a hard decision. I certainly don't know these decks as well as these competitors do. It's also possible that zvosher is just in the bathroom right now. So either way, I will vamp and fill for time, and we can all have a good one. If I had to guess what cards are getting put back here, could be the Seller Ass to the Dwarves because there's no creatures. And if we're not selling their ass to the Dwarves, then I don't think we need the purple, but the purple is something that would persist through the Tire of Fortune. But I think that grapes is better for getting purple. I think we're obviously keeping the Bloodstraw, keeping the Ornithopt. Yeah, getting rid of the Tire and the Elvian Spirit Guide. Okay. And mana will begin. The Evolving Fabled Terramorphic Vista. Passing the turn. Ornithopting on end step. Doing it on end step is nice because when you rebound, you get that as the storm count, and then you get the 2 Ornithopters also as the storm count. This card is probably a linchpin in most storm decks. Zero mana, increase the storm count by 3. So if you're taking the scry, would be something to see zvosher pop off again, but this time mana has the land out, has the flummox in hand. Looks like zvosher getting rid of the Burning Man emissary. Oh no. Putting the completed mountain on the bottom. Drawing a strict improvement. No creatures yet, so can't sell anyone's ass to the dwarves. Oh no, the Ornithompers, of course. So there's that Bloodstraw. Taking 5 to add a black and a purple. Storm count at 1 from the rebound in the Ornithopt. There's a 2 Ornithopters. Storm count is at 3. And the strict improvement turns the permanent into turns the creature into Black Lotus. So I believe that means the creature doesn't need to be can have summoning sickness, but will still tap because it's no longer a creature, it's just a Black Lotus. See, here's the Mox Phyrexian. Zvosher now thinking. Casting the Sell Their Ass to the Dwarves. Is mana going to fetch and use the Flummox to counter? I think this is probably the card that you do counter. I guess not. Strict improvement on the Ornithopter. Assuming we're going to cast the Grapes here. But maybe we could also cast the Wish. Yeah, I'm using a treasure and a Mox Phyrexian. Casting Grapes for 7 grape tokens. No, on the Wish is when mana is going to go get that island and cast that Flummox. We'll see what Mox zvosher chooses. Mox Jet, that makes sense. Now passing the turn, nothing left to do. 2 islands. And just gonna pass it back. Gonna be able to Saga Cycle that Hogak, one of them. Prize Lotus Tea, not the best draw here. Could sack it to draw a card, but that's probably not what zvosher wants to do with it. Going to play it though. Mox Jet and the Bloodstraw. Tap into Lotus Tea. Drawing a card, there's a Thraben Unspectre. Only way to cast that is with the treasure or the strict improvement. So not going to do that. Passing the turn, mana taking the time, saga cycling, grab that edge for eternity. Hopefully finds a land here to be able to cast it. Does. We're going to see not one but two Hogak. Or no, Hogak is legendary though. Yeah, here comes Hogak. And actually, if mana can get a any sort of sacrifice payoff, can just chain the two Hogaks into each other and let the legend rule be the thing that sacrifices them. A second Thraben Unspectre for zvosher, not what he wants to see here at all. Another land that'll also let mana cast the Urza Saga, but for now going to combat. zvosher down to 5. Can't fully use that Swirly Twirly Bloodstraw now. Casting the Urza Saga. And then casting the Hogak from hand to give a blocker. Let's see if zvosher can crawl their way out of this one. Draws a grapes. All the gas in the world here, but nowhere to go with it. zvosher gotta make something happen, or he's just dead to Hogak, but I don't know what possibly zvosher could do here. zvosher coming to the same conclusion, passing it back. Assuming mana just gonna swing in for lethal here. I think that'll do it for game 2, unless, what are we seeing here? Oh, the grapes are food tokens as well, I forgot. Paying 2 mana to tap and sack them, but still going to be taking 8 from Hogak. back in the same place he was a turn ago. Let's see if he can pull it off this time. Draws another grapes. That probably won't do it. But if he absolutely wants to stay alive, he certainly can cast the Thraben Unspectors and then cast some grapes. Storm count currently 2. So we'll make 3 grapes here. And then if he casts the next one, that'll be another 4. And yep, sacking the treasure, tapping the blood straw for a colorless. 4 more grapes. And mana gonna go ahead and make a construct on and step. Zvosher probably wishing that he could be making constructs right here. They'd be fairly large. Mana now able to search the library for an artifact with mana cost of 0 or 1. Looking at their library, shuffled their library. I wonder if that means they failed to find here, or if pressed both the buttons at once or something. I don't know. This software is very helpful, but not always the best. Looks like failing to find. Playing out the evolved Fable Terramorphic Vista. Swinging in for 9. Zvosher gonna have to sacrifice some grapes at least, and going to have to use the grapes to sacrifice the other grapes, it seems. Three grapes will produce 3 life, so I'm gonna have to use 6 grapes to get 6 life. And it should be just enough to not die here. Going to tap Urza to make another construct, making them both 2/2s. But yes, gaining 6 and chumping Hogak and blocking the construct would leave you with exactly 1 life, I believe. Wait, no, 3 life. Because you gain 6 here, and then you're gonna take 6. Yeah. Oh, not blocking Hogak. And keeping the stunned Thraben Unspec. I guess it doesn't matter if they're untapped. Mox Phyrexian, that certainly is not going to do it. And that'll be game 2. So the players are going to sideboard now. We are currently at 1-1 apiece, and it'll be first to 3 wins. Continues on in the tournament. Would be quite the upset if Mana does manage to walk away with this one. The 8th seed versus the 1 seed, of course. Zvosher also probably my pick to win, based purely off of decks. Um, People knew Gary was coming. People did not know Deathstruction Stormskade was coming. So there was not as much prepared for it in sideboards or main decks. So both players moving their sideboards around. What can we expect to see? Keep in mind also that zvosher generally having more access to their sideboard, but has 2 copies of Thought Sneeze in the sideboard. We might see, might take out some of the extra mana in exchange for hopefully more draw. Has a Snapcaster or Mage in there. Has the Poison, which is a removal spell. So we'll see. Mana, on the other hand, has 4 copies of an Otter You Can't Refuse in the sideboard, and you can bet those are coming out. Coming into the main deck. You can see one of them in hand right now. Zvosher, having lost the last game, does get to choose first or second. Mana also has some copies of Tide Moon in the sideboard. It'll be interesting to see if those come in or if they're just not fast enough. Also in the sideboard, 1 copy of Benui is the Only Animal, or Aminal. So I wonder if we'll get to see Benui this game. Probably not, but, you know, Benui being a 1/1 with Storm, 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 and that very much could lead somewhere. And also with Storm in hand. That's how you know it's a good game. So now, I believe both players still on their first hands. There's a chance we see them both keep this. It will be up to zvosher to go first, presumably. So we've gotten to see the turn 1 win off of zvosher. We've gotten to see mana grind someone out. Looks like both players going to 6 here. I'd love to get to see the Storm combo with Hogak work out. And then we can say we saw both Storm decks go off. That would be something. mana, I think prioritizing being able to cast that Auto You Can't Refuse as soon as possible, as well as the Urabrask hits, if they keep this. Zvosher has quite the hand. You see mana going down. Putting Juan Marie Kondo back. Zvosher having to put one card back as well. I'd assume it'd be the duplicate tire. And yep, so it looks like we are ready to roll. Zvosher going first. Here comes the Bloodstraw. Not sure what to do with it. But almost certainly we'll see it take 5 again to be a soul land to tap for that black and that purple. Both players able to see each other's sideboards. Not actively, but the deck list with the sideboard ahead of time. Know what the other might be packing in their deck. Prepared, hopefully, for whatever might be in there. Zvosher knows he should go now and not wait. And here we see it, the head of the Forbidden One. The discarding a card is optional, but we do see it. There goes the Twisty Nipple Charm. Going to grab a 1-mana card. Could be a Strict Improvement, could be another Sell Their Ass to the Dwarves. Yep, there it is. Casting that. Looks like not necessarily trying to go off this turn, and I don't think. Oh, and there's the Urabrask hit from mana, so there will be no profits today. Not on this turn. There's the Hogak. There's the island, leaving that blue ready to go with the order you can't refuse. There's the blood straw. Maybe not. Thinking a little more. Tapping it for 5 life. Adding the black and the purple. Using the black to cast the Hellscube. And I think we're about to see a repeat of last turn. Tapping the Hellscube to float a colorless. Are we going to see the purple for the sell their ass to the dwarves? And there's the second Urabrask hit. Not what zvosher wanted to happen at all. There's the One Night Strand. Can send Hogak away at any moment now. Zvosher drawing the prized Lotus Tea. Is he going to pay the 5 life again? Notice he is counting the storm this time. Exiling or sideboarding the Spirit Guide for a purple. Tapping, paying the 5 life. There's the Lotus Tea, adding 3 red. And there we see the Tire of Fortune. And there's the Otter. Leaving zvosher with 1 land and 1 little token on board. Mana now, cracking the One Night Strand, adding the white. Going to get the actual Tundra. Drawing a Flummox, that's probably exactly what Mana wants to see. Playing the history, I guess. It is coming in tapped. The Ornithopt is good here. We do see the Saga cycle. Going to get Edge for Eternity, of course. And that Otter is not going to be untapping anytime soon, I don't think. Oh, playing out the Marie Kondo instead. Presumably going to be legendary cycling that Lauren revealed to go and get Storm. Passing the turn, back to zvosher. Ornithopting in the upkeep. That'll get a prowess trigger. The Ornithopter will not because it is a creature. Scrying an Elvian Spirit Guide to the bottom. Smart choice there. Moving to draw step. Gets the Twisty Nipple Charm. Can't cast it. Doesn't have the mana. Because the Bloodstraw would kill him. So, yeah, passing the turn. Legendary cycling, the Lauren revealed. And there's Storm. There's an Ornithopter. Off of the history, I guess. And tapping 3 to edge for eternity. That otter will be stunned. Here's Hogak. And then next turn, there will be infinite flying 1/1s. So, better hope zvosher can do something now. Strict improvement. No? Maybe Ornithopting first, I think. With the rebound. Yes. Do they keep it? It would let them cast the Twisty Nipple Charm. But I don't know how good that would be at this point. We can't peek into zvosher's sideboard, unfortunately, so we don't know what he could grab in there, what's there, and what's in the main deck. But I'm not really sure what could help him with a pain land. Tapping the Bloodstraw for a black. Oh, maybe not. Playing the Ornithopter. Now tapping the Bloodstraw for a black. Strictly improving the Ornithopter, cracking that for 3 purple mana. Plays the Ornithopter and the Twisty Nipple Charm. Grabs the Fibblethip, draws 2, and it looks like it's not gonna be enough. But I think zvosher will get one more turn. Storm. Oh, zvosher conceding the game. So that's mana up 2 games to 1. So game 4 could see mana win this and a great upset, or could bring us to a blistering game 5. Mana with quite the opening hand. Only thing that's really missing from it is a second land. zvosher going to 6. Don't think this hand is really what he wants either. no creatures for the strict improvement. Any creatures that do come down have to have more than 1 toughness, or the completed mountain will kill them. Mana, looking for something better and finding that they're going to be going to 5, as is zvosher. This hand does not have any lands, so I assume not much that zvosher can do with that. This hand has some potential, I think. I'm not sure what the Polluted Deltas grab. Looks like they can grab the Nunya business. They can grab the Haunted Moon. And they can grab the completed mountain. And here down to 5. Putting Alorn Revealed and Marie Kondo back on the bottom. Has the Otter and has the mana. Mana has the mana, but will he find what else he needs? Or will they find what they need? And zvosher putting back Destruction, Stormskate, a Polluted Delta, and a Souther Ass to the Dwarves. Cycling the Polluted Delta. Getting the Haunted Moon. Passing to mana. Who plays the fetch? And sends it right back. The Hogek in hand 2 seems to be coming up mana. There's the head of the Forbidden One, discarding the other head of the Forbidden One. Grabbing an Ornithopt. Perhaps looking to cast a weak Storm Count 3 or 4 Destruction Stormskate with the Ornithopt before hopefully flipping into what he needs. Passing back to mana. He's going to crack the fetch land. Great, get an island. It'll come in tapped as the chosen downside. Untapping that, on the upkeep, revealing the actual tundra, forecasting it. Plays the actual tundra. Passing the turn. Zvosher ornithopting. And I think we're going to see it. They do get to scry. Puts the Thrabenone Spectre back. They'll get to scry again on their upkeep with the rebound. This could be big for them. Looking at that card. Do I want to draw it? Putting the polluted delta on the bottom. They did not. Drawing a card. It's a Burning Man Emissary. And I think their plan will be working. Storm count is 1. First main phase. Here we go. Swinging in for 1. Mana will take 1. Second main phase. Passing the turn. Ooh, not what I thought was going to happen. We will see the Saga cycling. And I don't think we'll be seeing that Head of the Forbidden One on tap anytime soon. Draws the Storm. One Night Strand. All mana needs here is either another copy of Hogak or Marie Kondo. And if they get that, I strongly believe that they will be headed to the quarterfinals of the Pro Tour. But zvosher not out of this yet, not by a long shot. Man, I'm trying to decide, do I want to hold up the interaction, or do I want to go with the Edge for Eternity? Deciding to hold up the interaction. So we'll see what zvosher's got here, and if they can get through a Flummox and an Otter you can't refuse. Swinging in with the head. And passing the turn. So we're going to see the Lauren reveal get. It's their pick, really. Get the Urza Saga. Interesting. Not what I would have expected. Second one Night Strand. Cracking one. Paying 2, 3, cracking the second one. And we're gonna edge for eternity. And there's Hogak. Passing the turn, still keeping the mana up for the Otter or the Flummox. The Otter probably better here. Zvosher incredibly mana reliant right now. There is the Bloodstraw though, that will certainly help. We could see a decent-sized Destruction Storm Skate here. Not as big as the one before, I don't think, but still very big. Tapping the Bloodstraw. Only taking one. So 2 black mana, there's the Burning Man Emissary. It looks like zvosher might be trying to take this one slow. Mana. Getting to fetch with the strands. Find not 1 but 2 plains or islands. Getting another tundra and another island. Draws an Urabrask hit. First main phase. Tapping 2 for Urza Saga. Swinging in for 8 with Hogak. zvosher gonna take it. Needs that Burning Man Emissary to net a lot of mana on his turn. Here we go. Another Ornithopt. The Destruction Storm Skate is definitely possible. I don't know if a win can be pulled out of that afterwards, but here we go. Down to 8 life with the Haunted Moon. Burnt Offering. On the Burning Man Emissary. And there's the Otter. And as we can see, it is an additional cost to sacrifice that creature. So that Burning Man Emissary is gone. And that's not good for zvosher. I don't think you need a scientist or a professional Magic player to tell you that. We could still see something big here with the strict improvement. Goes to Ornithop, decides against it, it seems. There's the Blood Straw. Looks like just for one. To cast the Strict Improvement on the Otter. Mana thinking about it. The Otter does get a Prowess trigger off that, so it can't be Urabrask hit. This would need to be flummoxed. Not happening, it seems. Sacrificing the Otter to add 3 mana. Three black mana. Spending 2 of it on the Burning Man Emissary. Gets that Burnt Offering. And the Burnt Offering is going to get flummoxed. So the storm count's at 6, but zvosher does not have the mana to cast the Deathstruction Stormskade. Next turn they will, but mana has an 8/8 on the board. And so next turn for zvosher is looking highly unlikely. But 2 Ornithopters in hand, a third possible if he casts the Ornithopt. So might not be dead. But not dead isn't quite where anyone wants to be, really. But zvosher playing the 2 Ornithopters. Not Ornithopting, though. Still holding out some hope. There's the second Hogak, which means the storm count may as well be infinity. But first, going to combat. Swinging in with the Urza, with the Hogak. Looks like double blocking the Hogak. Going down to 2. Second main phase for mana. Shows the second Hogak. It's going to keep looping them. Infinite storm count. Taps an island. Infinite 1/1s with flying. Zvosher casting the Ornithopt. Using that scry to card select. This is his last chance, really. On the upkeep, rebounds the Ornithopt. Gets to look at that top card. Draws a Strict Improvement. Time to see what happens. Storm count 3. Tap the Mox Jet. Onto the Ornithopter. Storm count 4. Taps the Bloodstraw for colorless. Taps the Haunted Moon. Takes 1, down to 1 life. And Mana just kills zvosher here with the Herbrast kit. But maybe Mana wants to see what happens too. Oh, wait, zvosher changing his mind. Not tapping the Haunted Moon. Remembering the Herbrast kit. Casting Destruction Stormskate for 5. There's Grapes. Mana's not a problem anymore. Well, having enough mana. Mana over here is still very much a problem. Prized Lotus Tea. So there's life gain on the table with those grapes and with the Lotus. The Nipple Charm. Grabbing something from the sideboard. Is it the Comet? It's another Destruction Stormskade. Tire of Fortune. There goes the Destruction Stormskade. Oh, no, instead just opting not to cast it. Head of the Forbidden One. And last trigger here. Or maybe that was the last one. So some life can be gained here. Another Destruction Stormskade can be cast. Using 2 of the grapes to add 3 black. And a 4th grape to cast another Destruction Stormskade. The storm count is now 10. Another Tire of Fortune. Probably going to do it now, right? Mana seeing it happen, pitching the Herbrast kit, I think. Unless the tire's not getting cast. zvosher maybe not wanting to refill Mana's hand. Deciding not to cast it. Ornithopt. Drawing the Ornithopter. Gets to scry 1 as well. Use the Mox Phyrexian. Another Twisty Nipple Charm. Still can't cast Comet, not enough red mana yet, but that can change. looking at the sideboard. I think if it was clearly Comet, we'd have seen it by now, so maybe making some other decisions. Or at least weighing other decisions. And if you're mana right now, you're probably kicking yourself, wishing you could have gotten off the ground 1-2 turns earlier. Deciding to, yes, get the Comet Storm. Elvian Spirit Guide. More grapes. So life gain no longer a problem for zvosher. Doesn't have to worry about that Urbrask hit, but 18 grapes is not much compared to 1 million 1/1s. So still needs to win the game here. Another grapes. Another Spirit Guide. Still not finding the red mana needed to cast Comet Storm. Maybe this Twisty Nipple Charm will have some sort of fixing in it. But I'm not seeing... Suppose there's a Tormod's MTV Crypts in this sideboard that could make a treasure. And maybe that's the out here. Grabbing ahead of the Forbidden Ones. Oh, selling their ass to the boards to split the profits. That'll make the treasures required to cast the Comet Storm. So yeah, with a storm count of now 20, going to be 22, Comet Storm should almost certainly kill. Need to see 4 4s or 5s. Really, it's one of the few situations where rolling a 1 or a 2 isn't good enough. There's a very small chance we see a bunch of 3s, but I think this game is pretty much over. There you have it. zvosher clawing back from mulligan down to 4, and some very unfortunate draws. So that should take us to Game 5. It's all come down to this. But Mana will get to go first. 1 seed and the 8 seed having a very competitive match. Zvosher looking in their sideboard, changing some stuff up maybe? Nope, here we go. Game 5. Mana's got lands, Mana's got Hogak. Mana does not have interaction on turn 1 though. And Zvosher has the Bloodstraw, has the Sell Their Ass to the Dwarves, has the Storm Scade, and the Strict Improvement. Mana going to 6, looking for some sort of interaction, finds the Flummox, puts the Urza Saga back, is ready to rock. Here comes the fetch land, the Evolving Fabled Terramorphic Vista, followed immediately by a pass. Zvosher deciding, do I cast the Ornithop? Am I going for it now? Looks like we might see the start of it, at least, the Flummox there. Zvosher's turn. Ornithopt. Scrying. Thinking about it. Really thinking about it. Looks like they kept it on top. Draws the Strict Improvement. First main phase. Swirly Twirly Bloodstraw. Tap that. Add a black and a purple. Gonna see one Ornithopter. Strict Improvement. Second Ornithopter, storm counts at 4. Cracks the Ornithopter, adds 3 black mana. Second Strict Improvement. Cracks that. Maybe not. thinking there's lots of opportunities here. Cracks the second Ornithopter. 5 floating black mana. Plays the Burning Man Emissary. Has the Burnt Offering. Cast the Burnt Offering. 4 black mana, 2 red mana. And I think that's the spell you wanted to counter if you were mana. Because now, here comes the Destruction Stormskade. Can't counter that. It's got Storm. You can counter one of the triggers. Mana instead letting it happen. Oh, this is funny. Tormod's MTV Crypts. Not a great first hit. Tire of Fortune. And maybe zvosher's thinking that mana doesn't have the counter. But mana has that flummox and can, assuming it's going to try and prevent any fixing for red. That's hard because the Tormod's Crypt can make 1 treasure token. The Lotus Tea can crack for red. It's really hard because the Comet you also can't counter because it's got Storm. The Burning Man Emissary can't be cascaded into because it is the same cost as Destruction Stormskade. 23 grapes now. But fortunately for mana, the only way to get the Comet right now is to sell their ass to the Dwarves and then wish. Casting the Spirit Guide. Selling their ass to the Dwarves, and here we go, this is it. Gets the island, shocks himself. Flummox on the sell their ass to the Dwarves. And if I'm zvosher, I'm making sure I have my red fixing, and I'm picking Mox Ruby, but I can see a world where Mox Jet is also the pick. But now, yep, there's the Mox Ruby. Zvosher gonna swing in with the Haystakin. Maybe, probably. Can also draw a card off the prize Lotus Tea if he wants to try to keep going. He is cracking a Lotus Tea. Draws another one. Says, yeah, I'll keep going. Cracks this one too. Mox Phyrexian. Hard to keep it going with that. So it's going to swing in with the 1/1, the Haystakin. And pass the turn. Mana now, going to Ornithopt. Going to use that scry. What's Mana looking for here? Maybe another land to be able to cycle the Hogak? Maybe more counter magic? Mana will certainly have to work faster than last game if they want to pull it off. Not more counter magic, what they were looking for, because the Otter You Can't Refuse got sent to the bottom. Casted the other Ornithopter, so now casting both of these in upkeep. Putting the Hogak on the bottom as well. Because the Hogak gets you the win in 2 turns, but that might not be enough. Assuming you get the mana, I guess. That's the biggest problem here. Playing out the Ornithopters. Storm count is 8. Gonna cast Storm. Gonna make 8 1/1s with flying. Or 9 1/1s with flying. That's a pretty good deal. Despite the wings in the art, the Elvian Spirit Guide does not have flying. So 2-turn clock right here. Let's see if zvosher can do it. Problem is, zvosher has all the mana in the world. Another Mox Phyrexian. But still needs the storm count to get Comet able to kill. Storm count doesn't need to be like 20 for that, though. I mean, it certainly helps, but I don't know what the exact math is, but 4 and 5 deal direct damage. 1 and 2 make hasty 1/1s, which isn't great into this board specifically, but 6 lets you roll again twice. So half of the outcomes are good. And you need 4 good outcomes, so you want a storm count of like 8? Probably 9 or 10 for redundancy, whatever you can get, really. But right now, zvosher not able to get much. Gonna swing in with the 3/3. Of course, the 2-turn clock with the storms is a little bit bigger than that because of the grapes. But it's about 3 grapes for 3 life, so another 18 life. Maybe an extra 2 turns. Mana instead letting the Elven Spirit Guide through. Interesting. There's the One-Night Strand. First, swinging in with the 10 storms. Then the Strand. zvosher tapping 2 to eat one of the grapes. Head of the Forbidden One, that's pretty good. Plays the Mox Phyrexian. Taps it for a black. Plays the head. Discards the other Mox Phyrexian. Going to get a 1-cost spell. And assume it's Sell Your Ass to the Dwarves. Worth noting that these storms cannot block creatures without flying. There it is. Are we gonna see it? We are on the Elvian Spirit Guide, no less. Doesn't want the chance of the head of the Frigaden one getting Urabrask hitted. Getting the wishes and the treasure, or getting the treasures and the wish. Do we see the wish here? Is it time to try to go off? Zvosher trying to decide the same thing. That's been sort of the question this whole match is, does mana have something that can stop this? And also, what out of my sideboard do I get? If there's another Destruction Stormskate in there, it could be that. But that would only... Storm count's only 4 right now. Casting the Wish. Getting Snapcaster or Mage. Put a flashback and a flasherback sticker on target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard. We're going to see it on the Destruction Stormskate. I suppose it hasn't cast yet, unless they just cast it now. They tapped the Mox Ruby. Yeah, let me see. Guess we're about to... Yeah, it's a Destruction Stormskate. Okay. So, first up, the Twisty Nipple Charm. Going to get Comet at this point, I'd hope, or I'd assume. Gets another Destruction Stormskate. Okay. Oh, instead choosing Enter Lap 2. Gets a Hastikin, an Elvian Spirit Guide, an Ornithopt, so I'm assuming when all this is done, the Destruction Stormskate will end up in exile, and then it'll get cast for its flasher back cost. Tower of Fortune, not resolving. Cast the Ornithopter. And we're going to see the Enter Lap 2. There it is. Assuming this is being cast with grapes. Oh, the blood straw. Tapping for a colorless. And a bunch of the grapes. This is a little risky, because if this doesn't pan out, then using all the grapes for mana means running out of health. But we shall see. We'll see how many non-mandatory game actions that zvosher wants to take here if they want to try to draw those extra 3 cards. Nope, they're just going to pass right through. Draw those 3 cards. Two Burning Man Emissaries and a Mox Phyrexian. Paying 2 life, going down to 4. Using the Mox Phyrexian to sacrifice the head of the Forbidden One. Adding a black. The other one to sacrifice itself. 3 black mana here. Presumably trying to pay the 6 for Destruction Stormskate again. Burning Man Emissary. There's the Burnt Offering. Second Burning Man Emissary. And another Burnt Offering. Going to combat. Or no, just adding colorless mana, sorry. There's the Destruction Stormscade. "16 triggers. There's the Nipple Charm. It's undoubtedly getting Comet, yep. Sell their ass to the Dwarves. There it is. Spirit Guide. Grapes. Tire of Fortune. That's not happening. Hastikin. Prize Lotus Tea. Tire of Fortune again. At some point, the deck is just going to be lands and spells that you do not want to cascade into. Head of the Forbidden One. Another Twisty Nipple Charm. About what to grab from the sideboard at this point. Grab anything. Grab a glue token or a food token or grab a basic island. Like, grabs the Cultural Revolution, changes their mind, grabs a grapes. Another Twisty Nipple Charm. You could always just make the Nebula. I think at this point, this is pretty much a foregone conclusion, but again, anything can happen with the dice roll. Something ridiculous could happen. Something the odds of which are too astronomically low to bother calculating. And if that happens, I'm popping off, because that'd be crazy. But Destruction Stormscade going into the sideboard. Sacking the treasures. Casting some Ornithopters. Now I see that Destruction Stormscade in hand. Don't cast that. Some of us want to see our families again. But no, tapping the red. Comet Storm. Are we going to see the roll? It most likely doesn't matter. That was There it is. More than enough to kill. And crawling it back. Reverse sweep. Almost. Not quite. But zvosher takes that one, keeping his number one spot and moving on to the quarterfinals. Thank you for sticking with me, and I'll see you in the next one.